Good morning, my beautiful friends. Good morning and come on in. We are going to have a talk today about the narcissist in your life, and hopefully they didn't, but if there's one in your life, they probably ruined your holidays for you. So let's talk. This is deep and it is painful. So come on in, grab you a snack. You have a friend in me, and I'm going to give you some helpful ideas to heal. While you're having to deal with the narcissist in your life, you're having to deal with a lot of pain. I know that from personal experience. I had a narcissist in my life. In fact, I've had several because I found that I've repeated a pattern in my life until I got to the point where I am now, which is just being happy, being a single person, and I'm not recommending this particular lifestyle to anybody, but it is one that I have found peace in for myself. I'm not promoting that. What I am promoting today is recognizing the traits of the narcissist and how you can help yourself out from being engaged and being just brought down to a level of pain and discouragement, because nobody can really live that way and be healthy. And I want all the best for you guys. So come on in, grab your little snack, grab your coffee, and I'm going to go over just to start with the 8 traits of a narcissist. Okay, we got these traits from the Cleveland Clinic, and I've written down the bullet points for you. So let's just go over it. All right, 8 traits of a narcissist, which, by the way, is a very serious condition. And in fact, some generals in God's army consider that it's a demonic trait. The number one trait of a narcissist: overinflated sense of self-importance. Their overinflated egos will stop at nothing to have control over any situation or over another individual. 2, a need for excessive self-admiration. Do you know somebody like that you can't praise them enough for the little things that they do? They expect people just to worship at their feet, it would seem. And in fact, a lot of them have what's even termed as the imposter syndrome. And we'll talk about that that's a story for another day, friends. All right, number 3, self-entitlement. Do you know somebody who's always entitled? They feel entitled to everything. You might be dealing with a narcissist. Number 4, superficial friendships. Their friends are usually have some kind of benefit to them, whether they're high society or influential figures in the community. They tend to gravitate towards these people so that they can control the matters that they want to control for their own personal benefit. 5, takes advantage of others to achieve goals. Do you know somebody that would stop at nothing to achieve their own success, to step on the heads of the people around them? Immediately I think of Beyonce because, we've heard so much about, how she's really used other people around her. Come on in. Welcome in. Thanks so much for joining me, Elf. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you. I hope your holidays are well, but we're talking about narcissists. So if you had a narcissist in your life, I know that you experience pain over these holidays. So we're going over the 8 traits of a narcissist: overinflated sense of self-importance, a need for excessive self-admiration, self-entitlement, superficial friendship, which now takes advantage of others to achieve goal. And number 6 would be lack of empathy. The lack of empathy is astounding. They have actually no compassion for you or other people. If they show any sense, it's usually just because it's either a requirement or what they would feel would benefit them in some way. To show compassion, to take advantage of that person, because a lot of times they are attracted to vulnerable people. Resistant to change is number 7. Number 8, hyper focused on fantasies, whether it's their career, their social status, their looks. Maybe they have a talent like playing the piano or leading choir at church somewhere where they're going to be getting a lot of praise and admiration. Oh, yeah, hyper focused on these things. Now, narcissistic personality disorder is often referred to as NPD. The causes are complex and varied. It can be genetics, it can be the environment, it can be a lot of trauma in their life. And over time, they developed a narcissistic personality. Usually, these people are very lonely and lack confidence on the inside, even though on the outside, all these things are, amplified. People around them often are betrayed and get a sense of betrayal, blindness. They make excuses for the narcissist in their life. Maybe they had a rough childhood, or lost their job, or this or that. Many people around the narcissist just become blind to their very toxic traits, just to try to deal with them, and that's not healthy either. Um, Basically, the narcissist has a dominant personality, is a power hungry, and wants control over situations and over the people around them. Which brings us to the narcissist and the holidays. A narcissist is just famous for ruining holidays. I had a narcissistic husband when I was very young. I was only 19 when I got married, and I didn't realize, because I hadn't been around this type of personality, that he was actually very narcissistic. We'll talk a little bit later about the types of narcissists in your life, but one of the first things I remember, one of the first holidays we spent together, going to my family, and how inappropriate he was, how he was just saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, not caring about other people's feelings, showing, you know, even displeasure at some of the gifts that he received instead of being grateful and wanting to have a happy day. He picked on me and embarrassed me in front of my family, and he made, for the first time in my life, the holidays just miserable. And this became a repeated pattern. A narcissist loves to ruin holidays just because they can. It gives them control over you. And a lot of times they don't want to even see you having a good time, seeing you have successful relationships. And they want to isolate you from your family and friends to begin with, so that all your attention and all your acclaim can be theirs and theirs alone. The narcissist and the holidays. It's a bad combination. Oh, thank you, Vanilla. These things have gone on a long time ago, and I've grown, but it's taken me. I'm 62 years old. I'm the mother of 7 and the grandmother of 14, and I have been through so much. I've repeated so many patterns in my life. There wasn't the kind of help that there is out nowadays as there was back then, or just the opposite. There's more help now than there was back then. I didn't even know the word narcissist, at that time. So if I can just help y'all and guide you in any type of way, that there's hope and help at the end of the day, we're going to go over those things. So thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you. Please like and subscribe while I'm talking about it, so you don't have to do it later. We are building this community from the ground up, and I really appreciate you guys so much. Narcissist is very complicated, and make the holiday day, a very complicated day. You can even end up feeling more isolated due to the narcissist and the negative emotions that you're having to deal with. You actually learn to live with grief because of so many disappointments, so many shattered dreams. And one suggestion that I would say is You know, you need to bring your own holiday rituals into the setting. You need to, maybe come up with your own ways of comforting yourself, even if it means not attending certain affairs where the narcissist might be, if that's a possibility. If a narcissist is a parent, an aunt, or someone in your close family circle, sometimes it's just better to avoid the situation, or at least give yourself some type of a backup plan where you can plan ahead of time on how you're going to react. They always say, don't engage with the narcissist. Don't let them bring you down to that level, and it's hard to do. And it takes practice, I think. And people call it, graystoning, or, not showing the emotion, disengaging, because, to engage with the narcissist is to add fuel to the fire. Hi, come on in, Barrett. Welcome. We're talking about narcissists. I'm really glad you joined us today. We know that narcissists can ruin just about any type of holiday or gathering, or any type of situation where they are not the center of attention. They will say and do things to bring attention to themselves, and it can be embarrassing and humiliating for the people around them. And do they care? No, because they don't have empathy. Uh, there are some things that you, as the victim of a narcissist, can do. Number one is avoid self-blame. It's not your fault that they're acting this way. It's not a reflection on you. It's totally them. Increase self-forgiveness. Don't blame yourself. Don't punish yourself. It's not your fault, and you're not alone. Recognize that and give yourself the right to walk away from situations. You don't need to just be taking it. You deserve better than that. You're a valuable person. Your thoughts are valuable. And if you're with somebody that doesn't feel that way, if there's a way to not be with them, that would be in your best situation. Although I realize, and I acknowledge, that you might be in a relationship with a narcissist. And maybe you're not ready to get out of that relationship for one reason or another, and that's understandable. There's things you can learn, though, to help yourself out. And that's what I'm here to do. Let you know you are not alone. You have friends. So a holiday can turn to a very antagonistic day. They throw out bait to undermine you, to insult you. It's so important not to take that bait. You might feel shame, and that shame is magnified around family members or friends who might be aware or growing aware of your situation. Nobody wants to admit that their family is dysfunctional. Nobody wants to admit that they're being abused psychologically or physically, and these things can come into play in a narcissistic relationship. So the sense of shame is, and even especially, and it's a shame to say this, but if you are a religious person or you're in a church, a lot of times the people around you are telling you, it's not even godly for you to leave your husband or wife, or it's not godly for you to act a certain way, or this or that. Instead of placing blame on the narcissist, they're blaming you for your struggle that you're going through, and it can be humiliating. And it's just easier to put up a false front, a fake face, and become the world's best little actress, or actor. And it creates a false reality that's doomed, because sooner or later it's going to fall down. You might do everything to justify the situation you're in. Um, and comparing yourself, I think social media is tragic in some situations. You see at the holidays, the whole family in their little matching PJs, or doing this or doing that, and you might feel like you're missing out. You feel like everybody else is happy, but you're not. That sense of guilt and shame and isolation wreaks havoc on your mental health. There's exercises that you can do to learn to disengage from the narcissist so that you're not just constantly feeding that fire, engaging with them, trying to get them to see your point of view, trying them to understand that you know that they're gaslighting you, because they're going to go into denial, and then they're going to blame you, and not just blame you, but actually tell you have some kind of problem, a mental problem or whatever, and it just becomes a vicious cycle, and like a vortex that just drags you down. Narcissists move very fast in relationships. If you're just getting into a relationship and you feel that this person might be narcissistic, and you're lining up all the things, the little red flags and that type of thing, one of the red flags is that they like to move in relationships very quickly. 3 months, you're moving in together, whatever, it's like everything's so quick, 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 because they like to not even give their victim a chance to process the information of what's going on. They might be love bombing and using other tactics to just gain your trust. But it's a trust that'll be short lived, because they will fail you when you need them most. That's what narcissists do. They're self absorbed. The best advice I could give you is to allow yourself time to reacquaint yourself with yourself. If you're getting out of a relationship that's narcissistic, you don't even know the things you like anymore, because you've catered so much to the narcissist who demands it. Sometimes it can take years to even develop your own self identity again after being in this type of destructive relationship. It takes a while to reset patterns. Uh, it suggested Dr. Ramani is a wonderful woman who works with narcissists, and I highly recommend her channel. But she talks about giving yourself off a year of dating just to get acquainted with yourself again. You've been for the length of time you've been in that relationship, you've been catering to this other person, and it's easy to lose your own identity. Establish new rituals for yourself, whether it's I'm going to drive around and look at Christmas lights just to enjoy the beauty, or take yourself to dinner, or light candles in your room and spend time in prayer and praise. Whatever you need to do for yourself to heal, you need time. And to avoid being on a roller coaster, a merry-go-round of relationships that'll all be the same because you don't give yourself a chance to heal, is so vital. I made that mistake in my younger years, I didn't give myself time to heal from one relationship, and I jumped right into another one. And I think of the time I've wasted and so much pain endured by everybody. If I could go back, I wouldn't do it that way, but there's nothing you can do about the past. I've had to learn to forgive myself, and to not receive the shame and the degradation that was heaped upon me in those relationships. And it takes a long time. The last narcissistic relationship I was in ended almost 5 years ago, and I haven't dated since. And for the first year, I thought of him every single day, throughout the day, multiple times, because we not only lived together, we worked together. So when I broke that relationship off, I walked away from my house, my vehicle, my job, everything. But I was in a relationship where that narcissist took it to the DV level, and it became physically abusive, and it came to a point when I realized that if I don't leave, I'm going to be, I'm not going to be here very long, or he's not. So, it was that bad. So I thank God every day that things unfolded the way they did. I had to really get a good picture of my mind of walking away from him, and I pictured it, and I kept picturing it. We worked in the mountains. We did hard physical work. We ran a drill team, a horizontal drill, put in cable for Wi-Fi and stuff like that. Um, you know, I was exhausted physically from the job, but then the mental torture that he put me through. When I left, I had literally nothing, and that's all right because I had myself. I had my life, and a lot of people hang into these relationships and lose their life because of it. If it turns into that type of situation, going to the full extreme of a narcissistic relationship. So I want to go over with you what types of narcissists there are. And basically, um, there's a couple different types of narcissists. Okay, there's the grandiose narcissist, and that's a person full of the self-importance. They're very forward-facing, appearance-oriented. They always want to present that they got their act together, their family's just great, and all this stuff. The grandiose narcissist, and some of them can actually be successful people. um it's just that fake front, that grandiose, the self-importance that's so so apparent. Now there's the vulnerable narcissist, and this is something that you never heard of until pretty recently, because they're not so easy to spot. The vulnerable narcissist is often missed. They tend to be sullen, sad, self-absorbed, um, passive aggressive, even uh, anxious. They can even be the type that's constantly pulling people in to help them, offer help, get them this, give them that. They're always the one in line, at a food bank, just not necessarily because they need it, just because they need the help. They're constantly, nothing's wrong with asking for help when you need help. When I'm talking about people who are getting their validation from um, draining other people's resources, really, the vulnerable narcissists. They're like frozen in time and space. They never just can get out of that need for help. Um, the malignant narcissist. You hear people talk about that a lot, and that is very, very dangerous. This is the type of narcissist. Their charm is short-lived, probably more short-lived than the other types of narcissists. They can be charismatic, but it's usually for controlling situations. It's very deliberate, vindictive, and intently focused on their victims or the situations that they're in. Uh, they're the type that we've talked in my videos about coercive control. They employ tactics to disable other people, to control them. They offer gifts that are useful to them, like they'll offer you a phone, and I would suggest do not take a phone from a person that you're just in a new relationship with. It's usually one of the first things that they want to buy you because they want to track you and they want to control you. They'll use tactics like turning off your phone. So keep your own phone, keep your own line. Don't fall for the trick, the phone trick. Okay, because that's real common. Sometimes I think narcissists are just given a blueprint, and it's almost like they follow the same, plan. It's crazy, but yeah, the phone trick is what I call it. Has somebody given you a phone just to try to control you, to track you with it? Yeah, it's probably a malignant narcissist who did that. They often delve into the dangerous zone of physical violence. And the most important for you thing for you to do if you're already in that relationship and in that spot is to be safe and to make a plan. I've talked a lot about it. The plans you need to make, the keeping record and documenting your story with time and place, pictures, videos, whatever you can do, and keep it in a place where that malignant narcissist cannot get a hold of it, because you may need this later. Your safety, you might have to comply for a time, but in your mind, be making a plan. Talk to someone that you can trust, but be very careful of who you trust, because as we know, narcissists love to get their little flying monkeys to support them, and they do that by putting a smear campaign out on you. So the malignant narcissist is a dangerous person. There's something that's called the communal narcissist. And this is a person that is a humanitarian. They're, can often be under guise of seemingly good or godly things, like maybe recycling or animal activism, or, just something that seems good. But they use that for their own validation, and they use it in a way to judge other people. What? You're not a recycler? You should do what I do. They're the ones that are always pointing their finger at you and comparing you to them. Like, if you had just saved your little pennies, you wouldn't be in this financial bind. See, that's what I did because I'm so perfect. I saved my money, or whatever, you know they often want to save the world, and they have a savior complex, and will then use that against you. Oh, I helped you out when you were in trouble, blah blah blah. They're so wonderful. They have a lot of anger in them, these people, because they like to come out as the hero, the valiant hero. A lot of times these people end up being cult leaders. Unfortunately, they also tend to be pastors, or, people who are over other people. They come across one way, but they lack the Holy Spirit. They have a form of godliness, and they're missing God, in my opinion. Self-righteous narcissists would be the next group of narcissists. And they tend to be obsessive compulsive type of personality, especially when it comes to morality. They tend to be cold, repressed, maybe judgmental, maybe militaristic, maybe, there's a place for everything in its place, and, just a lot of times people have parents who are this type of a narcissist, self-righteous. They're rigidly ordered, shame-inflicting, cold and cruel, invalidating, and they themselves are very entitled, self-entitled. So what are some helps for you? As always, disengage as much as humanly possible with your narcissist. If you're in a position to avoid them or walk away from them, highly recommend it. If not, if you're in a position where you have to deal with them, then don't go deep. Don't add fuel to the fire. Don't try to explain your point of view. Show them very little reaction, if any at all. Don't personalize it. Don't, and it takes practice. It almost goes against human nature. But if you have your mind set and you continually, fortify yourself with how to deal with the situation, I promise you will make steps. Don't engage. The yellow rock, yield. Gray rock, go cold. And cold stone would be the way that a lot of psychologists, tell you to do. Just picture it in your mind. There's no heat coming from the cold gray stone. Don't add fire to the fuel either, So I know that it's really hard, but I want you to know that you're not alone. When you're dealing with a narcissist, you're dealing with a lot of pain, and a lot of it is self-inflicted. So forgive yourself. practice being compassionate to yourself, because you're probably a very compassionate person and have shown this narcissist far more compassion and understanding than they ever deserve. You need a break. So allow yourself time to heal. Allow yourself a chance to develop yourself in your own interests and pursue things that will help you, whether it's, holiday rituals of your own, or even just, self-care type of things. If you need somebody to talk to, find somebody who you really trust, a mental health advocate or helper, therapist, you know, possibly can help you. There's no pat answers. Maybe there's a priest or you know religious leader, pastor, or somebody that you feel is has a sound mind and can offer you some good advice. If nothing else, sometimes you just need to vent a little bit, because you're not going to vent it with that person. You're in that narcissistic relationship. Love yourself enough to heal. I really appreciate y'all joining me today. My name's Chevy Cool Lady. Please consider liking, subscribing, and doing all the stuff to get good and encouraging words out to our friends. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys later. God bless you.